From Troy Public Radio, this is TPR Podcast Presents. Programming made where you live. I'm Austin Toy. Every week, we bring you selections from one of Troy Public Radio's 14 locally produced podcasts. Across the nation, children are heading back to school, but one local elementary school has adopted a new method for classroom management.
I've seen kindergarten students go to each other when they recognize one of their friends is becoming upset or angry and encourage them to take deep breaths.
That's Principal Holli Richardson. She spoke to Dr. Shirley Farrell, Joe Johnson, and Lisa Etheridge on the newest podcast from Troy Public Radio, Growing the Forest and the Trees, an education podcast by and for teachers. Let's listen to a preview from episode 1.
Being a teacher is not easy. I know, understatement of the year. Teachers juggle test score pressure and parent expectations, not to mention a classroom of 20 to 30 young people who would rather be anywhere else. It's so easy to get overwhelmed and miss the forest for the trees. That's why we're here. We're getting to the root of the issues facing educators today, connecting teachers with the experts, and finding those resources and solutions. Through conversations with our guests, and hopefully you as well, we'll all learn and grow together. From the little saplings to the tallest oaks, this is Growing the Forest and the Trees, big pictures and everyday realities. A podcast from the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences at Troy University. I'm Dr. Shirley Farrell, Gifted Education Program Coordinator, here with my co-host, Dr. Lisa Etheridge and Dr. Joe Johnson. Today's episode, Conscious Discipline. What is it and how does it work? Our guest today will help answer these questions. Holli Richardson is the principal at New Brockton Elementary School in New Brockton, Alabama. She has been in education since 2006 and has worked as a teacher, a guidance counselor, and an assistant principal. I'll turn things over now to Dr. Johnson, who has our first question for Holli.
Hey, we appreciate you being with us today, Holli.
Good afternoon. Thank y'all for having me here.
Holli, in your experience, why do you think that classroom management is so often a challenge for early career teachers?
It's a challenge because it's something that has to be developed over time. It's a process. And first of all, but then also because there isn't any one size fits all approach when you're in a classroom and you're managing 20 to 25 different personalities, children who have come from different homes, different environments, different experiences, different discipline approaches at home. And so new teachers stepping into a classroom and being in charge of that and learning how to manage that, it just takes time.
Thank you, Holli. I'm hearing that you are implementing an approach to classroom management entitled Conscious Discipline. Can you talk a little bit about that? Tell us a little bit about what it is, what it entails, and kind of give us an overview.
Our district received conscious discipline training a few years ago, so we have several teachers who participated in that training and still use that approach or pieces of that approach in their classroom. So basically, conscious discipline is a trauma informed approach to discipline. And it was developed by using the science of the way the brain works and basically reacts to stress to approach how to manage behaviors in children. And it was developed by Becky Bailey, and she is phenomenal. I had the opportunity to listen to her speak at an early childhood conference a few years ago, and highly recommend if you ever have the opportunity to hear her speak. But basically, this approach that she developed teaches us to be aware or conscious of our thoughts, feelings and actions as adults so that we can self regulate, model self regulation for our children, and then help them develop the skills of discipline that they can use in those challenging behavior moments so that they can learn to self regulate. And as a school counselor, when I was introduced to this approach, I was a school counselor, and it just clicked for me because so many of the children that I worked with, I knew that their academic struggles were coming from a place of where they needed growth in social and emotional skills. So that's why I feel like it's so effective. And so basically, with conscious discipline, the goal is not to just stop a behavior, it's to replace a behavior. It's to take an unhealthy behavior and replace it with a healthy one that's going to help that student learn and grow. So consequences tend to be more real world and authentic.
So, as the principal at New Brockton, have you seen, since implementing conscious discipline, have you seen a dramatic shift in discipline problems in the school since the implementation?
It does make a difference, yes. And one of the things that I have noticed that most impresses me in classrooms that use this approach most consistently, you'll see the children in the classrooms start to be able to not only self-regulate and see those behaviors decrease, but you'll see them start to help each other, which is a really beautiful thing. So I've seen kindergarten students go to each other when they recognize one of their friends is becoming upset or angry, and encourage them to take deep breaths and even take those deep breaths with that student. And sometimes getting that from a peer, a child will respond differently than an adult, and sometimes in an even more positive way. So it really is a beautiful thing to see.
That's a nice visual you give us. I wish we could see that in all of the classrooms. We know that that conscious discipline is a great strategy and a great tool to implement for classroom management. But aside from that, what other suggestions from you as a administrator and a stakeholder do you have for teacher ed programs to better prepare our students to handle and be effective in the area of classroom management?
So I think one of the most important things that for an intern to be able to see when they're entering their internship is something that they're generally not able to see. And I know it's because of the timing of when semesters start and end, but when a teacher is establishing their classroom management at the very start of the school year from day one, a lot of times interns miss out on seeing that. And that's when they're really laying the foundation. And that's when you're going to see a veteran teacher be able to address the most discipline issues because the students are still getting used to the teacher and the classroom and the rules and the procedures. So interns are able to step into classrooms many times after the start of the year when that foundation has been laid and established. And so they're seeing, and with a veteran teacher, if that's done well, they're going to have fewer opportunities to see them address behavior. So I think if it were possible to have interns be able to see the start of the school year and how those teachers establish the pillars of classroom management at the very beginning and how they respond to those challenging behaviors at the very beginning of the year, I think that would be a huge positive opportunity for interns to be able to kind of tuck away. So when they step into their classroom, they have even more to pull from in terms of strategies and approaches.
That's an excellent suggestion. I've always said I think interns should see the opening of school and the closing of school because there's nothing like it.
Growing the Forest and the Trees launches tomorrow. Look for it on Spotify or at today.troy.edu/podcasts. I'm Austin Toy, and this is TPR Podcast Presents on listener-supported Troy Public Radio.